Time for the truth. And it actually worked! Can you turn your Voicelive 3 into a Voicelive 3 Extreme for free? Well, kind of. I was able to mod my Voicelive 3 and have it to run the operative system of the Voicelive 3 Extreme, but then I realized, unfortunately, it doesn't run the backing tracks. So I was actually debating, should I make this video, should I not? But then I realized, okay, there is quite a lot of value in this video because you will still be able, if you follow this guide, to increase your storage from 4 GB to 126 GB, that's what I've done, and still you will be able to create a backup on your computer, just a tiny image file that will contain all your presets, but also the operative system, all the global settings, all your loops, everything stored together in a tiny file. This can be very useful in case something goes wrong or in case you want to create a backup device. And also the booting speed increased a little. And I thought, okay, there's quite a lot of value. Possibly this mode will also fix your white screen of death if your device is suffering from it. It's quite a famous problem that these devices have. So follow me through if any of this is interesting. I'm Aleloy, this is Ale Suggest, and let's get this video started. This video is brought to you by me, so perhaps if you want to help the channel later, you could listen to some of the latest releases on Spotify and on Apple Music. I know, it's pretty terrible to tell you how awesome and great my own music is. So perhaps let's hear some of my listeners and let's see what do they have to say about my music. Oh my god, I love listening to... What's his name? Yeah, all the time, man. I listen to him all the time. It really calms me down like nothing else. Oh-ha! Oh-ha! So how did I hack the Voicelive 3 and how did I run the Extreme OS in the non-extreme version of the Voicelive? If you weren't aware, the Voicelive 3 and the Voicelive 3 Extreme, they both have an internal SD card which contains the firmware, the presets, your loops, your backing tracks, and of course the operative system of your device. So because of owning both the Voicelive 3 and the Voicelive 3 Extreme, I was able to copy the exact content of the Extreme SD card over the Voicelive 3. My intent was to create an identical copy of my Extreme device so that I could use it as a backup. While the settings and the presets and the operative system were 100% translated during the hack, the backing track feature remains still unavailable on the Voicelive 3. What you're now watching are some of the global menus and the settings of the Voicelive 3 and the Voicelive 3 Extreme running the same OS side by side, just to show you what you will be presented with if you were gonna do the same mod I did. Don't worry though, I will soon guide you step by step so you'll also know how to do it. So because of my Voicelive 3 not running the backing tracks after the mod, I would probably not recommend you to do the exact same hack that I did. Instead, I would highly recommend you to follow this guide to actually boost your TC Helicon Voicelive 3 so that it will have more storage and create a backup and also gain a little bit of a knowledge about how to service your own device. So follow me through. It's not as straightforward as plugging an SD card into your computer and call it a day, because your computer will not recognize the SD card, and also you will need to take apart your device in order to locate the micro SD card that is connected to the motherboard. So I will guide you through step by step, don't worry, just grab your cup of tea or coffee or whatever, just follow me through. A little warning though, you're doing this at your own risk. I don't own any responsibilities if after taking apart your TC Helicon Voicelive 3 you run into issues. What are you gonna need to do this mod? Well, you're gonna need a Torx Screw Driver size 10, a brand new or a blank SD card, an SD card reader, and a Windows computer. Well, I don't know if this will work also with Apple computers too, but that's what I got, so I will link everything in the description below, and these are all affiliate links. Using the Torx 10 screwdriver, unscrew the 9 screws and pop the bottom lid. Because of the white screen of death being such a common issue, I would encourage you actually to fit one of those Torx screwdriver in your gig bag and keep it with you. You never know, maybe the knowledge of this video plus the screwdriver may actually save you a gig. Who knows? Locate the SD card. Cover the part next to the SD card to avoid contacts with the pins. Pull the SD card enclosure towards left, take your SD card, make sure the lid doesn't touch any of the motherboard pins, and now let's move to the computer. Before doing anything else, download the free software Win32 Disk Imager 1.0.0. Install. The link is in the description and install it. Now take your TC Helicon SD card and plug it into your computer using the SD card adapter. Now there are some laptops and some computers that have SD card readers and micro SD card readers. That's fine, use that one. But if your computer actually doesn't have that, you may need an adapter. Now I've linked my absolute favorite SD card adapter in the description of the video below. This SD card adapter is pretty amazing because it suits a variety of different configurations, so it doesn't matter if you need to plug it via USB-A, micro USB, or even USB-C. If you needed to adapt a micro SD card or a full SD card, the S Pen covers all of them. Another cool thing is that I use the very same adapter to import any backing tracks and any loops into my TC Helicon Voicelive. I just take an SD card into it and I just use it as a thumb drive. It just works awesomely for this too. Link in the description of the video. But anyway, back to the mod process. So once you will plug your TC Helicon SD card into the computer, you will start receiving every sort of pop messages saying that your SD card needs to be formatted. This is not true. Just close all the several pop-up messages that will appear. Now open the Win32 Disk Imager software that we have previously installed. Now at the top right of the panel, we will decide what do we want to copy, what do we want to backup. If you go to my computer, you will see that your computer actually believes that you just plugged in several new drives altogether. This is obviously not true. In reality, it's your Voicelive SD card that has been divided into multiple partitions by TC Helicon. Now, this is the only bit that you will have to figure out by yourself. Inspect carefully all your drives and determine which is the first new letter among the virtual drives. In my case, it's the letter F. Make sure you don't choose the wrong drive, but don't worry, we're not formatting anything at this point. We're just creating a copy. It's important that you will have read-only allocated partitions checked, otherwise your backup may not work. Now let's click on the folder icon to decide where do we want to store the backup that we're just about to create, and let's give it a name. Now this can be confusing, so pay real attention to this. The button read will create an image file, a backup, and the write button will copy the image file to an SD card and restore it. So what we're just about to do is to create an identical copy of our TC Helicon firmware and store it into our computer. So now let's click read so that the content of our SD card will be copied to our computer. When it's done, let's now grab a brand new SD card which will give us finally enough space for all the loops or any backing tracks. I was able to slightly increase the boot up speed and I found this SD card being a very good value for money. So I will highly recommend grabbing this particular SD card. So we both know that you're not gonna run into any issue if you do the same mod. Once again, link in the description. With the new SD card into our SD card adapter, let's now pop it up into our computer. Let's click on the folder icon and let's load the backup image we have previously created. Once again, make sure read-only allocated partitions is checked and press write. Very important to know, everything on the new SD card will now be formatted and lost forever. So make sure you don't have anything you care about on this SD card. Now, if you run into issues as I did at this point, and you come up with strange pop-ups telling you that the SD card is in use for whatever reason, just try another computer. It really didn't work out on my main computer, but my laptop worked just fine. Now let's pop the brand new SD card back into the Voicelive. Now, before we do it, this is another important thing. Let's make sure that the pins are well bent towards the SD card. If they aren't, let's use a plastic tool to bend them even more, just to make sure that the pins are perfectly creating a contact with the SD card, because this is when you will have your screen of death issue. So a good rule of thumb could be just take with you the Torx Screw Driver and a little plastic plier. This could save you a gig. Now let's close the SD card slot by sliding the lid towards left, and let's close the Voicelive enclosure. Let's boot it all up. That's you, done. You have now drastically increased the storage of your Voicelive and stored a backup that can be recalled at any time. I hope this video was useful. There were not any other videos that were clearly explaining these subjects or not even answering the big question, can you actually run the operative system of the Extreme over the non-extreme TC Helicon Voicelive 3? So I hope this settles it finally. But if automating your pedals is all you were after, I'm soon gonna come up with a new video that is gonna compare all the most famous MIDI controllers out there in the shape of a pedal 4. I'm talking obviously about the Morningstar MC6 Pro, as well as the Solomon, and many more. I'm gonna analyze the Hotone Ampero Control, the Mastermind, even the X-Tone. I got them all and I'm gonna just compare them and put them side by side, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm Ale, this is Ale Suggests, audio and video suggestions for a creative mind, and I will see you here very soon.